Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special Reunion 2020 episode. What is that? That's when I bring on a guest that I had on in the past, and I liked him so much I had to bring him on right back. So today's guest is Tibi Zohar, who is owner over at Synergy Advisors. Tibi, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? How could I refuse when I asked you what you wanted to talk about? Get this, depriving Uncle Sam of his part of your income. How could I refuse a guest that would say they're going to teach us that? So, first thing, Tibi, I do want to get a little bit more into, before we get into today's topic, let's give the audience a little overview of what you're doing over at Synergy Advisors, please.
Well, what I do at Synergy Advisors is I team up with CPAs and tax preparers who would like to enrich and amplify their practice. Number one, to actually be able to extract something else than the tax preparation income. So I help them, retire handsomely on one hand, but the main thing is helping their clients, build and create the best retirement they can, and create those strategies that do exactly what you just said, deprive Uncle Sam from, his part of your income. And so I gravitated to, very creative planning that allows for deductible contributions to the extent of $500,000 a year or $600,000 or whatever. I even have $800,000 sometimes crafted for selected high taxable income small business owners. Does that make sense?
Awesome.
Does that accept?
It makes total sense. And I want to go just a little bit further, because there's a lot of CPAs, a lot of different companies like that listen. So let's go a little bit further into that for a moment or two. What kind of companies do you work with, and why?
So the basic rule of thumb for me, for being able to really create great, smart partnerships for tax preparers and myself, and help help their clients, is the 5-50-500 rule, which means no more than 5 partners in the tax preparation or CPA firm. More than that would just be a political nightmare, so to speak. So 5. 50 is, I'd rather have them over 50 in age. When they're younger, they are still hoping to become millionaires out of tax preparation, and they're usually paralyzed by the conflict of interest, and in a sense, it's harder to resonate with such a partnership and get over some of the challenges. And then 500, at least 500 clients book. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. It's depletable too fast. And to find a higher taxable income also is a ratio of at least 500 to have enough to help, so to speak. So 550, 500. That's pretty easy to remember. And then I also I've been doing this for years, and so some of my friends and in the business, some of my peers have been pressing me to help them. And so, I came up with this whole Synergy Advisor, which actually helps financial planners, financial advisors, and financial professionals to create and maintain those partnerships. And for that extent, when you look at the after now the 550, 500, now I've got the different types of CPAs to identify, just to save time for everybody and not go through agony. And those 3 types are, number one, those that are not aware of their power and influence, which, it's pretty easy to see. They're so dedicated to price rather than value, and they, spend a lot of time at their desk. Usually they're the color of their fluorescent, and, and so those we don't want. Then there are those that are paralyzed or afraid of their power and influence. And those are actually most of the cases where they're aware of their power and influence over their clients, but they're so paralyzed with a conflict of interest, which is there, but needs to be managed smartly, that it's just harder to work with them. And finally, the ones we're looking for are the ones that enjoy their power and influence. So, those above 50 that already understand that they need, something more to take advantage of that, oil field they sit on, and, and invite me to come in and drill on that field, so to speak. And they enjoy the fact, and they learn from me, and I help them overcome and still be impartial and be on the side of the client, and so forth. These are the best ones that really enjoy this venture, mutual venture, joint venture, where we're helping their clients save mucho dinero on taxes from and not paying themselves rather than Uncle Sam.
That's awesome. And speaking of that, I think that's a great transition too. So depriving Uncle Sam legally, mind you, of course, we'll talk about that, of your income. Let's talk a little bit more about strategies, high level, and how, of course, and everybody listening to this is basic financial general advice. So we're not giving advice to individual people. You have to talk to your own tax advisor, your own financial advisor, or follow up with Tibi after for a one-on-one discussion. But that being said, Tibi, generally speaking, what are some of these strategies that are helping to alleviate tax burdens?
Yeah, most of the strategies that I employ, number one, the reasoning behind them, the uniqueness about the strategies that, because there are many, strategies on all sides and different expenses that one can have, and obviously they're all very nice. The way I approach it is I'm looking for expenses that are not real expenses. In other words, you keep the money, it just shows it as an expense. So it's like, taking money out of one pocket and putting it in the other, without paying and avoiding the tax in the process. And the only section of the code that deals with this type of an expense happens to have to do with either qualified or non-qualified retirement planning. Obviously, it has to be unique retirement planning. It has to do mainly with some kind of a defined benefit structure. It could be either qualified or non-qualified, but it has to take advantage of different hurdles to getting to a defined benefit, to a defined goal that allow you to catch up, so to speak. The catch up type of plans or planning is the one that I'm looking for to really enhance, and rather than the defined contribution plans, for instance. I say their motto is it's never too early to start, because if you can just put away a certain amount, 50 or 60,000 a year, then of course the younger you are, the better you'll be. But you don't know how better or worse you'll be, because there is no value, there is no goal that you work towards. You're just putting money away. On the catch-up type, which is never too late to catch up, those that you start at 55, 58, 53, or whatever, sometimes at 70. You can do that as well if you have a viable business. These, when you need to fund for $2.5, $3 million within 5 years, guess what happens when you divide that into 5? If Uncle Sam says, well, I want to help you catch up because I don't want you to fall on me, then, and I'll just match whatever you put now. I mean, I'll consider not taking my share from whatever you're putting away for this goal. Now it's in the hundreds of thousands range, because you need to catch up within 5 years or 6 years. That makes sense? So these types of strategies where the catch up is the thing, and of course there are requirements how the business should be and how closely held and the size and number of employees, whatever. There's a lot to it. That's the whole point. And then we need third-party administrators that are really good and creative. Not many to be found, unfortunately. But, we need the right bean counters for this one.
No,
and
for
so
sure.
all those moving parts and combinations create that amazing pool that you're able to put together within just a few years.
Yeah, no, and I mean, it makes perfect sense. So, and the ideology behind why the IRS allows it also makes sense. So just think of it this way for the listeners. If you're just starting out at work and you're working, you're a W-2 employee and you're putting away a couple $100s a paycheck, you have the benefit of compound interest on your side. You have the benefit of time on your side. So, which I recommend, of course, for the listeners, if you're in that situation, participate, get your match, do those things. But let's say that you went another route and you ended up putting all your money and time and effort into building your business, and you didn't really do a lot on the retirement side, because why didn't you maybe make those initial contributions? Because you were investing that money in your business and building your business. So now you find yourself over 50 or maybe even over 60, and you find yourself with this valuable business. You find yourself with a lot of income. You don't find yourself very heavy on liquid assets in a retirement plan. So what does the IRS do? They say they allow you to make these large contributions to catch up to what other people were able to do all along by doing these little small contributions over many, many years, where you put all your money in your business. So it makes perfect sense, and I think it's a great service and a great niche in the IRS code that they allow this to take place. So I think it's win-win, and it really fuels business, and it encourages business owners early on to know if they're successful in business, they can still make large contributions down the line. If you're already in that position to make those large contributions, then it just becomes a matter of why wouldn't you? You're putting it, again, like you said, from one pocket to another. Why wouldn't you? Why would you want to spend all that extra money on taxes when you don't have to, when you can shelter it and you're not necessarily using that money anyway? It's like you're not going to get that money, so why not have it working for you in an investment account? So Tibi, I love the work you're doing. I understand the thought process behind it. I think it's a great service to our business owners that have spent their lives building their business and now, like you said, want their fair shake on the retirement side. So that being said, Tibi, if somebody is listening to this and they want more information, or because I could talk to you about this all day, but we're just about out of time. If somebody's listening to this and they want more information or to connect with you because maybe they're on that accounting side or that CPA side and they want to learn a little bit more about your process, or if they're a business owner and they find themselves in that situation to where they need to play some catch up, if you will, and they want those tax benefits, what's the best way for them to reach out?
So the best way to reach out is, either by email. They can just use my general email address. The easiest one is my full name, Tibi Zohar, TIBIZOHAR @gmail.com. That's the easiest way by email. And then my mobile number is 760-443-1401. They can text me, they can WhatsApp me, they can call me, and I'd love to discuss anything with anyone. Just to make a point, to a little bit of a correction, it is, I use the phrase catch up. This is not just for people or business owners that have not accumulated much. It's just a catch-up type of plan that we're building. The principle is the catch-up principle. That doesn't mean you can't have a $3 million IRA from before, but now you've got a just to make the point, because some people would say, well, I have enough, so I don't need this and whatever, so maybe that won't work for me. As long as you have a business, it's some kind of a viable business. You make so much money at the critical age that makes sense, then we can implement these types of strategies, regardless of what you have in other plans or previous individual retirement accounts and so forth. So that's no problem. I mean, there are cases. There's no end to imagination and creativity. I mean, we've just had a case where a couple over 70 was selling some of their properties, real estate properties, and they didn't want to deal with them anymore. They didn't want a 1031 of any kind of sort. We looked at a 1031 exchange that's in common. In other words, they don't need to do it themselves. It was one option, but it didn't cover everything. So the rest $1 million covered by a pension plan, and it's over 70. Okay, so we're looking at it's a one transaction deal, but it was structured in a way where we could actually do that. So think about it. I mean, no one could have actually imagined that selling a property would end up saving so much tax just by a pension plan as well. So this is
Man, that's awesome. I love it. Well, hey, Tibi, thanks again for coming on the show. Definitely appreciate that. Great to have you back. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We launched that this year. Money Matters Top Tips. Go on there. If you have ideas on planning, feel free to leave some comments in the comment section. I'd love to talk to you there. And Tibi, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Been a great pleasure. Talk to you later.